This is Coach Dixon back, and we're going over the 4-2-5 defense. This is what I want to call like my week one, my term, just basically for this type of defense. Defense. You have to ID some of the terms like what is fourth down, third down, base defense, sub defense, one high, two high, middle of the field open, middle of the field closed. What are the flat defender? The three techniques, the 5 or the 9 techniques. What is a shade? What is leverage? What is cloud? What is a bump, press, angle, contour, and flat? So you have to understand all of that. If you're going to deploy a defense, you got to understand what these terminologies, what this means. So when you're teaching the defense, you can tell your people or your kids. The defense ID terms. It's like a base defense, defense with 4 defensive back, sub defense, defense with 5 plus defensive back, so like a nickel, one high safety in the middle of the field, two high safeties in the middle of the field open, middle of the field closed, one high, two high. Other terminology that you really need. Understand the leverage, positions where defenders line up, and protecting the inside and outside alignment. Cloud techniques played by cornerbacks where he reroutes and disrupts the release of a number one safety to help deep. Bump press, alignment techniques played by a defensive back on the receiver's slot. Now you look at this on a 4-2-5, you're looking at like fourth down, 3 technique shades, 5 technique shades. As you look at the picture, look at the 3 techniques. I have lines drawn to the 5 technique playing outside of your tight end. And look at the 3 technique. He's playing to the inside to his right shoulder, to his most outside shoulder. Okay? Then you look at the shade. He's shading him. That means playing on the outside of the center. That's a shade. Okay? Now look at this. It's a one high safety in the middle of the field. So look at the cornerbacks. Look at the linemen. As you're looking back, you see one high. That is basically a type of cover one that you would notice right off the bat. And it's called a shell because that does not mean what they're going to play. Okay, now look at the two high. Two high safety deep in the middle of the field is open. You see that? Now, the way they look at if you look at the cornerbacks, they're up press. They're up on the line of scrimmage as far as they can be. And they're looking dead straight at the wide receivers. Everybody. So that's possibly a cover 2 man. That's the shell, the probability of them playing cover 2 man. The 2 safeties are back there playing one half of that field, and the cornerbacks and the outside linebacker or your left and right safeties are playing man to man. Angles and contour in the flats. Angle, contour, vertical depth relationship between the corners and the safety. 2 corner flat corners. The safety is similar level in the depth. Look at the safeties. Look how deep that safety. He's about good 15 yards away from that cornerback. He's angled. Okay? That tells you something right there. And look at the other one. He's basically on a flat vertical plane almost. In football, that's what you would get. Now, as you're looking at that, you could look at that and say, oh, he's playing cover 2 on one side and quarters on the other, while the other safety is up. In the cover 2, in the quarters down here, he's playing the flats. The outside or the right safety or the left safety, whatever one you want to call him up, or the outside linebacker, he's on the slot person, he's probably playing in the flats. And the other one right there playing, because the proximity of being close, are playing covered. And then the one on the right side at the top, what they're playing is basically a cover 2. See? Now if you look at that safety. He's probably about 15 to 16 yards away from the line of scrimmage. And then look, come to the other side. All right. So as you look at that, you'll probably say, hey, that is probably a split field coverage. On one side they playing cover 2, and the other side they playing quarters. And the outside linebacker or the other strong safety that's up, he's playing in the flats. Now, when you're doing a 4-2-5, as you're looking at it, you look at the 5 defensive backs. You have 2 at the top, 1 in the middle. Then you have 1 that looks like he's playing up on the line of scrimmage. He could be outside linebacker, or he could be the other safety. And look at the cornerback. The cornerback is up. See, they notifying the flat defender. He's majority of passing concept required for the location of the flat defender. That's who the quarterback most of the time is going to be trying to throw the ball off of your defense in the 4-2-5. Now, as you look at this 1 high or 2 high, which one is it? It looks like there's 2 safeties back there, but one is high. One is about 16, 17 yards from the line of scrimmage, and the other one is about 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. And look at the other defensive backs. So on your right side, you're looking at a possibly man underneath and possibly a cover 3. Now, that went from a 1 high to a 2 high. And you look at a little while ago, we said it's possibly a cover 3, but it broke into a cover 2 because the safety just backed up. And the other safety backed up. So what he did, he has one half of this field, and the other one got the other half of that field. And as you're looking at the cornerback and the other safety, it's possibly now that you're getting cover 2 man. And out of that, you're looking at the 4-2-5 defense. It's playing 5+ defensive backs. Nickel, 5 defensive back. Dime, 6 defensive back. Quarter with 7 defensive back. The defense is trying to maximize its speed and match up with the perimeter personnel of the offense. When you add more wide receivers, they add more defensive backs. Speed on speed. Now, we're looking at the 4-2-5 in basically their base defense, but it's also a nickel defense. It's 5 defensive backs. Look at that. And as we look on the back end and the middle of the linebackers, or the left and right safety, or the monster and rover, whatever you want to call them, they're playing in the flats. And the 4-2-5 can also be played in a 3-deep secondary. And the linebackers, they can be moved back, and one could be playing a hook to curl, middle hook, and other hook to curl. 4-2-5 also, you can broken down and you can be played like that. As you look at that, the 2 corners are up, and they have 2 half players, 2 hook to curl players, and the middle linebacker. Now let's look at a 4-2-5 in a under front. You see what is called an under front. The end is underneath the tight end. And you see they brought the 5th defensive back up. Now he's playing like a outside linebacker, shaded to the tight end. He could be playing head up with the tight end. Now, for a lot of people who don't understand what is an under, you see how he's set up, how the defensive end is under the tight end. And now the 5th defensive back, he used as like a Sam linebacker. He's over the person who's playing like the tight end. And you see how the nose tackle and the tackle is playing? Look at the Mike and Willie. Look how the other defensive end. Now we'll talk about what is called the apex defender. He's just the two outside linebackers, or they could be still in a nickel formation. If you want to play the nickel, you still have your 4 down linemen, and you still have the 2 linebackers. One could be spread out, and the other side could be a defensive back. They are basically called the apex defender because they are outside of your tackles based on your slots. And most of the time, the flat defenders who the offensive quarterback is going to choose to throw at. If he comes up, they're going to try to throw the ball coming in. If he goes out, they're going to throw the ball come in. If he come in, they're going to throw the ball out. The quarterback is mainly going to watch your flat defenders. So when you're deploying a 4-2-5, you have to know what the offense is probably going to do and who they're keying on. And I'm looking at this from an offensive perspective, because I study offense so much that I have to find out what can beat most defenses. Because really, I am a defensive-minded coach. And I always used to say, if I'm deploying using this defense, what would an offense probably do to me? So that's how I started learning about offenses. Because I wanted to know what could that offense do to put my people in a bad situation. And as you notice right here, we have the circle drawn around with the little arrow. They're looking at the stance of my defensive back over the receiver. And he basically can tell whether I'm in a man coverage, press coverage, because the way he's bent over, where his eyes and head is looking at. So as a defensive coach, you must know what the offensive coach is looking at. And as a defensive coach, you must understand what are you doing, especially on the defensive line. It's called like movements in pairs. The defensive lineman to disrupt the offensive lineman. It consists of penetration and movers. You just don't have 4 down linemen just saying you're 4-2-5. But what are they doing? Are they stunting? What are they doing? Where are they playing? What kind of are they playing? Shed techniques? Are they A gap, B gap, C gap responsibility? What do you have them doing? Are you just saying you play right here and you run up here and you get through this hole? You can make them move in stunts. 2 people at the same time, or even 3 people at the same time. You want to play gap integrity. You want to disrupt the offensive blocking schemes. And you do that by moving 2 people, 3 people, or even 4 people at a time. Then you can add pressures with your linebackers. I wrote them down as strong dog, weak dog, all dog, mad dog, whatever you want. It's just different movements of the linebackers now just moving with those stunts. Now here's a slide that I made of them moving with the stunts so you can see, or you might want to call them blitzing, how everybody is covering a gap. I'm leaving no gap uncovered. Now you can even add, if you're running the 4-2-5, you can even add your secondary pressures and players into it. I just call it storm, weak storm, and cowboy. It could be red scan. It could be anything. Here, I'm just showing you a blitz package. How I'm going to blitz my free safety. but at the same time, I'm going to have his blitzing spot covered. And I'm going to blitz him or use him and cover up his spot. Because where you blitz from is usually a weakness from the offense. If they see you blitzing coming out of your secondary, they're just going to send one of their receivers right into the place where you vacated and throw the ball to them. Now, when you're running a 4-2-5, you can have like what I call fire zone, five-man pressures, but they drop from the defensive line. Your defensive tackle, even your nose guard can drop back into coverage. Especially your defensive ends, if they stand up defensive ends. So you can bring in them safety that can be blitzing, coming down, and that middle linebacker that can be blitzing, but you can also drop your defensive ends off into the flats. See, as you notice here, like a fire zone or my dog drop. If you notice, I'm taking that Willie linebacker, I'm blitzing the middle linebacker, and I'm pushing the Willie linebacker right back into the middle, and I'm sending that defensive end into his spot where the Willie just left. So in case you try to do get a vertical going up the seam, my defensive end cannot let you cross his face and put a hand on you as you're going up that middle of the seams. Now, as I put down some coverages, like I say, you have one high, that's a 33 fire zone, one hole, 11 hole, 11 robber, 11 alert. You have two high, cover 2, 22, 2-man, 6-man, 66. It's just a lot of different things that you could call them, and all of them mean something. Now, as you look at this, what do you see? As a defensive personnel, you deploy the 4-2-5. And as you see here, I specifically wanted this type of slide, and I had to search for these things, showing wide 9 techniques or 7s. But they're out there for a reason. And if you look between the gaps, 1 gap, A gap, B gap, C gap, my linebackers, you can have fill them gaps. Or maybe they're going to do a loop between a stunt between the tackles and the ends. And maybe the linebackers from that position right there is going to come up and play that gap. And as I'm deploying my 4-2-5, and I'm going to use cover 2, I have to understand what are my strengths and my weaknesses of my defense that I'm playing. A lot of coaches, they just set up a defense, but they're really not getting technical with it. You need to get technical with it, especially with these kids. The younger, the better, that you get them started. Don't just say, you out here, you out here. No, tell them exactly what they're supposed to do. If you look at this, the strength of that is the 2 high safeties on that cover 2, 5 underneath flats drop, destruction of timing, cloud techniques, and funnels. The weaknesses is run support because the safeties are back, deep middle, outside windows, and linebacker coverage. It depends on how fast your linebackers are. Or are they hybrids? And most of the time when you're using the 4-2-5, your linebackers are some type of hybrid players between safeties and linebackers. They are fast and they are not afraid of contact. Here's a look at a traditional cover 2. As you look at it, He's covering one half. He's covering the other half. The two safeties, look at the flat or the cornerbacks, the curl and the curl, the middle hook, or he could be playing the rat. Or even off of this, it's that middle linebacker. You can shoot down the middle of your defense to protect on anything that's coming across in the middle. And you're still looking at a cover two. You're looking at areas of attack. This is where you have to know that your defense is vulnerable when you're running a 4-2-5 out of your in a cover two. And you're looking at this is what the offense is probably going to try to do to you, get into these spaces. And when you're running that type of defense, you got to understand what an offense is going to try to do to you. So it's good to have a offensive-minded personnel on board with you so he can explain to you what would he probably try to do against your 4-2-5 defense or any other defense. It's like the quick game, combo read, area read, flat defenders, double slants, double outs, Y stick, if you know what that means, curl flat, defender read, combo, read, Y read, and hit down the seams area, vertical reads, mic high and low, and hit you with them shadows. The ways to attack cover two, horizontal stretches on the safety, vertical stretches on the flat, horizontal stretches underneath, vertical stretches underneath. Anything, like I say, underneath your linebackers and right over top of your linebackers, right behind your linebackers, right in between the safeties and the cornerbacks, deep down the middle. Shots that's going to run like fades that get between your cornerbacks and your safety, no man land. And if you got a good quarterback that can zip that ball in there, oh, they can hurt you bad. Now, here's some of the coverages and everything that you might want to play. If you plan this cover two, these are certain things that you can kind of teach your defense about. It's the footwork of the quarterback. If he's going back 3 steps and planting, then that means he's probably throwing, unless he take a hitch up. If he hitch up, he's going to look for another direction. So if you can make him hitch as many times as he can, that means you have good coverage. A lot of people don't understand that because they don't pay attention to quarterbacks. But as he's going back, when he hit his plant foot and he has to hitch up, that means the area that he wanted to throw to is covered. Now he's changing direction. And like I was telling you, these are pass patterns that will put your cover two, if you plan a cover two using your 4-2-5 defense, in trouble. Now I'm telling you quick, them fades, them kill shots right in between the safety and the cornerbacks, anything that's right between your linebackers. Now, as a defensive coach and players, you have to know when the offense is coming out there that they're doing, well, depends who's coaching them, and depends on the quarterback. They're doing a pre-snap key read on you. They're getting an idea of what you are playing. And as he's coming out there, he's looking. And his pre-snap, he see cover two. That's what he see in his mind. And the quarterback is looking at, because he knows about a cover two. He should. Well, I can't say all these quarterbacks because the coaches ain't teaching them to understand the positions of where that defensive person is playing and how does he play that position. He's just teaching most of the quarterback, get out here, you come here, and you throw the ball here. He's doing the curl, he's doing this. But no, you need to teach him what the defensive person is going to do from where he's lined up. Remember, I was telling you that that middle linebacker can also trap you and run down the middle of the field. It's called like a Tampa 2. And he's running straight down the middle of the field because that defensive coach knows that you know that's a weakness. So he's trying to counter-react you when that ball is hiked. Then I'm going to send my middle linebacker straight down the middle of the field and hope that you throw the ball down the middle of the field and I can intercept it. See, as a defensive coordinator, you have to teach your defense certain things about the offense. They have to know routes. They have to know the line of scrimmage to 8 yards. These are quick routes, 3-step rockers, step, sit, catch, throw, flat defender, area of leverage matchup. Because if he just grab and rip, that means your defense should be coming. On a 1-step pass, you need to forget what you're doing and fly up to the ball. Just like when he's going to a rocker step or step and sit, you know, he's throwing the ball. You got to get to the ball. And if he's trying to read a flat defender or area of leverage, he's studying, he's going back to a 3-step, and he's watching. He's looking. You can tell by his steps. You can always tell what a quarterback, most quarterbacks who've been taught are supposed to do. They have steps that coincide with the routes that they're running. So you can read as a linebacker, and even as some defensive lineman, you're supposed to be taught. When the quarterback hits his route, if you steps, you can't get to him, jump in the air and try to knock the pass down. If he's going to a 5-step drop, when he plants his back foot and you know you can't get there, jump, hold both hands up and try to, block his view. Don't just run. You have to do something. Just like I said, in the drop back passing game, the routes. When he hits his 5 steps, or if you get back there and he hits 5 steps and you jump up in the air and with your hands up, you block his vision, he's going to hit you up or try to get on out of there. You did your job right there. As a defensive coach, you have to teach your kids, your young adults, whoever you coaching, gap assignment. You have to teach them they're not playing the man. They're playing to protect that gap, because that's where the offense wants to run the ball through those gaps. This is the way the game is played. They try to move you out of that hole. When I was coming to 2 hole, 3 hole, to 4 hole, now they want to call it gaps. Whatever they want to call it. The offense wants to move you out of that gap, that hole, so they can get through it and make yardage on you. So you have to teach your players, you're not playing a man. You're playing to protect that gap. And as a defensive coordinator, secondary coach, linebacker coach, you have to understand the passing strength. You have to understand what is the offensive passing strength. Where do you line up? Because you might be a team where you line up 6 people to the strong side and always 5 to the weaker side. You have to know what are you trying to do. And like I say, you have different packages or people. That nickel and that dime person, that's 6 defensive backs that they are using. Okay? They kept the Mike in, and they could took out the Will linebacker and put the other another cornerback or safety in, and it's considered a dime package. And as a defensive coordinator and a defensive back coach, you have to understand and use strong rotation, weak rotation, 3 strong rotation, 3 weak rotation. You have to understand them concepts and how to use them effectively. Okay, here goes strong rotation. Strong rotation, so they're going strong. They're going to a cover 3, which looks like the safety is coming down and he's going to play the flat. It's not a buzz because he would be coming down where the linebacker was. The linebacker would be shooting over to play the flats. And the weak rotation, as you're seeing that they're rotating now to the one side of the field with just the wide receiver is at. On the other side, it's a 3-by-1. Look at the tight end, the slot back, and the wide receiver up at the top, and they have one receiver back, and they are rotation weak. They roll into the weak side. That high safety is taken into the middle of the field, and the other safety is coming down, and he's playing a flat. And if you look, the cornerback on his side that he's coming down, he's more in a man. And the other cornerback on the other side, he's in a zone. And look at the other safety over the slot. They're in a zone. Look at the safety behind him. They're in a zone. Look at the cornerback that's going to move down. He's coming straight down into the flat. So that's telling me over here they playing man-to-man to the right, and they're playing with a high safety. Looks like they're playing quarters on the backside. Now you look at that. You look at that cloud. That cornerback is playing cloud, so he has the flats. You look at his head. His head is turned inside. Looking at that quarterback, he's looking inside. Look at the rotation of the safeties. They're going to rotate out. This is a cover 3. Now, if you're going to deploy cover 3 with your 4-2-5, you got to understand, like I said, the strength and the weaknesses. It's a good run support, 8-man box, secure in the deep thirds. Weakness, flat coverage, 2-on-1, vertical, 4 verticals will kill you. Especially if you got a quarterback who know how to look that safety off, get him going one direction and throw a kill shot or a bomb to the other direction. Now, I wanted to put this in because a lot of people, I should say coaches, don't know that there's a cover 6, quarter, half. You know, and the strength of that is to secure on the 4 verticals that could hurt you in the cover 3. So maybe you want to play a cover 6, quarter, half. And the weakness are the strong side flats in the coverages, quarter beaters, the run support, weak to the strong. But you have to pick all these different coverages and defense after you study the other team's offense and have looked at them, so you know which ones to deploy and how to play them. That's what I'm trying to show you, the different coverages on the back end, so you need to know how to play them against different offenses that you may face. That's if your kids have been taught how to play them. So how cover 6 looks. The back side over here down at the bottom, they're playing cover 2. On the top side, they're playing quarters of cover 4. That's why it's called cover 6. 2 plus 4 is 6. It is a good mix or a split field coverage. And them are the areas to attack a cover 6. Look at the alignment between the cover 2, your safety, and the cornerback down here. Look in the middle of that field. Any quick outsides will get you 5 to 6 yards. Now I have it drawn up there, just showing you how to attack it and how they would attack you. Remember I told you about the flat defender? That's who the S is. They're using him as a flat defender. On the other side, look at that cornerback. That's the kill shots. put that cornerback in the bind. You either have to come up to get that slot, or he's going to drop back. And all the quarterback have to do is be able to hit you reading that cornerback. If the cornerback drop back, he's going to throw the ball right there. If the cornerback come up, he's going to throw the ball right behind him. Because the safety is just not going to get over there fast enough. Cover one. As you look at that, everybody's playing man-to-man. You have a post player. He's the person back one high. And you have a hole player. Sometimes they call a rat or just a hole player. And he's going to try to take care of the underneath stuff underneath the post player, the safety. I'm showing you for the defense because you have to know when you're playing the 4-2-5 defense, any other defense, the strengths and weaknesses of each coverage that you put behind these defenses. Like the strength of this is man coverage, post player, hole player. It means you have somebody that can stop those digs coming across the middle because that linebacker is going to drop back. And you have a post player to guard that post. But the weakness is the run support, limited to box players and matchups. If I got 4 good wide receivers that I can put on your defensive backs and beat you, then I'm going to do that all day. Now, here's just a little something that I'm going to do that when you watch this video, as you can draw like arrows where the defensive backs would drop, strong side 3 rotation. What technique does the strong side? Corner play, middle of the field, or close. Circle the hole defender and cover one hole. What leverage to the defender's play and one hole and why? How many underneath defenders in cover 3 with a 4-man rushing? Put an X in the seams area. What is the weakness of these coverages? When you're installing or deploying the 4-2-5, who has the hole in cover 1? Who is the 3 technique? What side is the strong side of the formation? Okay, I hope you have enjoyed my presentation of the 4-2-5 and how I'm showing you how to play the 4-2-5 and the things that to look for on the offense, how they're going to try to beat you in the 4-2-5. All right, this is Coach Dixon, and I hope you have a nice day.